In this session, we will try to look out for the loan repayments. See, in general, any loan taken, let's say some P amount I have borrowed, right? The general process of the repayment of the loan, as you all might understand, there is an interest that needs to be paid for some period, and probably the principal has to be repaid at the end of some period. This is typically called as interest only loan kind of scenario, wherein I keep paying only the interest for some periods and the principal is paid on the maturity of that particular loan after a certain point in time. But the more common kind of loan varieties today are called as amortizing loans. When I say amortizing loans, it's like along with the interest, some portion of a principal also is being paid every period. Along with the interest, some portion of the principal is also paid over this period in such a way that by the end of this loan period, the principal that is outstanding will become zero. So it's instead of paying all the principal towards the end, this kind of amortizing kind of a mechanism talks about the principal repayment in parts. Some portion of the principal getting repaid on along with the interest on every installment. But to keep this installment, again, if interest is paid and some portion of the principal is being paid, probably there could be a variation in the interest and the principal that comes up in each of the period. So it is seen in such a way that if these payments are kept level for the entire period, the same X is being paid for the entire period and still ensuring that by the end of the loan period, the principal outstanding is zero, which means the whole principal would have got paid off. So this X is nothing but a combination of the interest and the portion of the principal repayment, and it is structured in such a way that each of the periods I get some portion of the interest and some portion of the principal, but the total put together will be constant for all the periods, and which would definitely result in eliminating the entire principal outstanding at the end of the loan period. So more or less we have to discuss only on these kind of loan, because these kind of loans, the interest portion and the principal portion keep changing every period. Though the total is still X, the interest portion and the principal portion keep changing, because the moment you keep paying some portion of the principal, the outstanding principal will go down, which means the interest that is applicable for the next period will go down, but the total X which you are paying is still the same, which means in the next period you are contributing a little bit more to the principal. So what we generally observe in this mechanism is, in this amortization scheme, as the time progresses, the interest portion will keep coming down, whereas the principal portion will keep going up. But still, both of them put together is always constant. So that is the key aspect of this amortization based loan repayment schedule. So if at all I have to calculate the same, so because so how do I compute what should be that equal level amount that I have to pay every period? All I am doing is present value of the future cash flows, assuming that X is the cash flow every month, right, over a n year period. So for every n years I have to pay x every year. I'm saying the present value of this x is nothing but that should be equal to the loan amount that has been taken. But at the same time, sometimes it would happen on a monthly basis. The payment may happen on a monthly basis. That is the most common word we use, EMI, equated monthly installment. So whenever we are using this concept of EMI, then X being paid every month, I'm trying to find out the present value of this annuity, assuming that you are paying for n years. So I have to convert this also into years, which means I'm actually paying 12x. I'm actually paying 12x in a year, and that 12x I'm discounting to the present value using AN, and of course on a P3 convertible kind of a basis. So the moment I know what is the period of the loan and what is the loan amount that has been taken and the interest rate, because this has to be discounted at some interest rate I. So whatever the X I am going to find out, that X portion of it is the EMI that I have to pay in each of the periods. Now along with that there could be a few more elements here. Now I know this X, but in this X, what is the interest portion and what is the principal portion? Right? Probably, let's say we are talking about some kth installment. Some kth installment, let's say I am trying out as X. Now, if so, one thing what I can find out is, assuming this X is known, right? Because I know the installment. Once I use this formula, I can find out what is this X. Now using this X, what I can try out is, let's say I want to know what is the capital, what is the principal. Capital is also used for that. What is the capital or the principal portion, and what is the interest portion for the K plus 1th payment. All I can do is I can find out this present value for K period. I can find out the present value of K period, so I'll do it as 12 into X. This is for K. This is for K, right? Whatever is the period. Similarly, I can find out the present value for K plus 1 period. 12x A K plus 1, 12. So this is the value of the loan outstanding at the end of kth period or kth year. This is the loan that is outstanding at the end of K plus 1th year. So the difference between the two is the loan repaid between K and K plus 1th year. So the loan repaid is nothing but principal repayment part. So the difference between these two is nothing but the principal portion that is repaid during that particular year, but overall payment that is being done is 12x, x every month and 12 times for the year. So 12x is the total amount paid, but this difference is the principal that has been repaid. The difference in this period will give me the interest paid during this K plus 1th year. Interest paid during K plus 1th year is obtained through that mechanism, and the principal outstanding is coming through the finding out the difference between the total principals outstanding between that period and the previous period will give me the amount of the principal that is paid during that particular period. Otherwise, okay, once I know that this is the principal that is outstanding at the end of kth period, on that principal you apply the interest. So that will give me the interest that is paid during the K plus 1th year. So again, from 12x you subtract this interest, which will give you the principal that is paid during the k plus 1th year. Either of the ways, you just need to visualize. Either find out the principal outstanding for both the periods, subtract the same, and say that the difference is the composition of the principal repayment during the period, and from 12x subtract that part and say that that is the contribution of the interest payment during this period. Similarly, the other side is find out the principal outstanding as of the previous period, multiply it with the interest rate and say that that is the interest composition for that particular period, and subtract that number from 12x to compute what is the principal repayment portion of the same. So in general, what people look at is a kind of a schedule is typically made. Okay, initially when I am trying to prepare, what is my initial principal? Right, a schedule kind of stuff is being made for each of the years or months, whatever is the payment period. So initial principal is there, let's say some x. On that, what is the interest portion of it? X into whatever is the interest rate. What is the repayment portion? Or probably here let me call it initial principal is some p. P into I% is my interest rate for that period. But I am doing a repayment for that period which is X or probably 12X. Depending on whether I am doing a monthly part or yearly part, 12x is what is the repayment I am doing. So principal portion, principal repayment is nothing but 12x minus the P times the I% whatever we have got. So from here you can talk about principal outstanding, which is nothing but P minus of 12x minus P times I%. So this is giving, so this becomes the initial principal for the next period, P minus of 12x minus P of I%, whatever it is. So this becomes the initial principal for the next period. On the top of this I% interest is applied, but you are still paying 12x. The remaining portion of it will become the principal repayment, and from this one I subtract this, it will give me the principal that is outstanding at the end of this period. So like that, when I keep making this schedule, at the end of the end periods and at the end of the loan repayment period, I see that the principal outstanding will become 0. That this kind of a schedule, whatever we are making using these elements, we call either as amortization schedule or typical loan repayment schedule. Right, so we have an example where we make up this entire schedule and try to demonstrate how we compute the interest for each of the periods, repayment. Based on the repayment, how do we compute the principal contribution of each of the payments, and what is the outstanding principal at the end of each of the period. But suddenly, if I want to know without this table also, if I want to know what is the principal outstanding at the end of a particular period or something, it is nothing but the present value of the future cash flows still that are left. That is what is the amount of principal that is still outstanding. And one more dimension that is worth looking at as a part of this session is the concept between flat interest rate versus annual percentage rate. See, generally when I am using the word flat interest rate, it's more on a simple interest kind of a mechanism, where all I will see is during the period, during the period, during the entire loan period, based on whatever the monthly payments that are being made, compute the total payment amount, total repayment amount. No time values, nothing. Just find out the total repayment amount and we know the total principal. So the difference between the two is what is the total interest paid during that particular period, total interest paid. Now apply a simple interest equal to PNR formula, the simple interest formula. Now we got this total interest paid, we know the principal which is the loan taken, number of years, and this particular rate of interest which we are determining is what we call as the flat rate of interest. It is for a quick computation we look out for this flat rate of interest, which is typically the percentage of the total interest in terms of the loan amount. The interest as a percentage of the loan amount over the total period of the loan. That is what we call as a flat rate of interest. Whereas when we are talking about the annual percentage rate, we are looking at using the discounting mechanism also, or probably using it as the effective annual rate for this entire period. So effective annual rate is a straightforward computation in this whole period, doing a present value of equating the present value of cash outflows to the present value of cash inflows, and at what rate of interest both of them are getting equal, that is what we call as the annual percentage rate. And generally, as a starting point to determine the annual percentage rate, we have found that the typical empirical relationship comes out as annual percentage rate of return is close to the twice of the flat interest rate. So probably computing the flat interest rate is a straightforward thing. So using this flat interest rate, double that and use that as a basis for finding out the annual percentage rate. So after once you take that particular rate, try discounting the future cash flows using that particular rate. See whether the left hand side the cash outflows is greater than the inflows or the vice versa, and try adjusting that rate here and there until the inflows become equal to the outflows, and that is what will be the annual percentage rate involved as a part of the payment. We'll try to see some numericals associated both with the computation of the loan and various aspects associated with the loan computation, and along with that we will also try to look out for the few numericals relating to the computations of the flat interest rates and the annual percentage rates also. This will help us get a clarity in terms of the loan process and the payments of interest and the principals associated with the loan process, right? So let's get into the numericals to understand those aspects. All right, now let's look at the loan computation, the repayment EMI computation, or equal installment computation, annuity computation for a loan repayment, especially when the interest rates are different for different periods, right? So here we want to look out for, okay, a person who is currently borrowing 97,600 for a 6-year period, and in that borrowing process it is said that the first 2 years the interest rate is 7%, and after that for the next 4 years the interest rate is going to be 10%, probably a teaser kind of loan. First 2 years the interest rates are much lesser, and the later years the interest rates are higher, and the repayment are made annually in arrears. So logically speaking, 97,600 and assume that X is the level payment. So what is happening is the equation of the value comes out as X into V plus X V squared X V cube. I'm doing it up to X V power 6. But the V's for each of the period. So the first two periods, the V is at the rate of 7%, whereas from the third period onwards, whatever we are paying, this is at the rate of 10%. So if at all I have to do the same scenario in a spreadsheet, okay, I will look out for 97,600. So we are talking about 0 years 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. In the 0th year I have taken 97,600 and from this, okay, let me assume that X is equal to some number. So let me take some 20,000 to start with. So the interest rates for each of these 6 years, the first year it is 7%, the next year is also 7, and from here onwards the interest rates are going to be 10% for the next 4 years. Now if my cash flow is going to be 20,000 per year, then my discounting is, this is discounted by 7% for a period of 1 year and so on. These are the cash flows, right? So these are the cash flows that are coming up in each of the years and the total value, right? Total NPV is actually coming out as the summation of all this, which is still negative. So which means this number should go slightly higher. If I'm doing 21,000, this is still higher, but when I do around 22, it is coming very much closer. So 22,100, it is becoming positive. So 2250, still a positive. 2240, slightly negative. So 2245 or something would bring it much closer. So that is where I could talk about a level payment of 22,045. The other way I could have done is using this what if analysis in my goal seek. I could have set this particular value as 0 by changing this particular x. So this is giving me 22042.84 will be my level premium or level equal installment every year, so that the first 2 years the interest is 7% and after that it is 10%. Now the same logic, if I have to go with a notation format, I go with, okay, 97,600 equal to x times, I take it as A2 at the rate of 7%, and here we already have, okay, V squared I will take out of all these, V squared into X, and this I will take as A4. This A4 is at the rate of 10%. This V square is at the rate of 7% itself. Right, this V squared is at the rate of 7%. So which means here also I cannot directly do this to the power 3 here. Again, the mistake is this cash flow in the Excel form also I have to do it as 1.07 squared and then multiply it with 1.10 to the power this minus 2. So we have to make a small modification, making this number consistent across. So NPV is now becoming a positive this. So I can again rework on this goal seek, set it to 0 by changing this value. So this time it comes out to 21,325.4. Because the interest rate is only 7% for the first 2 years, I have to make sure that that is taken care of, right? So at least here I am talking about x into a2 at the rate of 7% plus v squared at 7%, a4 at 10%. These are the numbers. So probably I take it a2. Let's try out the calculation to see whether we have taken the numbers correctly or not. A2 comes out as, at the rate of 7%, if I have to find out A2 from my compound interest tables, at the rate of 7%, for me A2 is 1.8080, right? 1.8080 forms the A2 at the rate of 7%. Then if I want A4 at the rate of 10%, right? A4 at the rate of 10% comes out to 3.1699. A4 at the rate of 10% comes to 3.1699. That is what is the value of A4 at 10, A2 at 7%, and here I am interested in A4 at 10%, right? So V squared at 7% is one more thing that is required, right? V squared at 7% is nothing but 1 divided by 1.07 squared. So this is V squared at 7%. So the X now comes out as 97,600 divided by A2 plus A4 times V squared. A4 times V squared. So this is working out to 21,325.35, which is exactly the same as computed through our spreadsheet also. So from here we can easily make out that whether I am doing it through a spreadsheets we are doing just to do the manual verification of the process, right? So it can actually help us in understanding the concept quite easily. Now, so this is the amount of level annual repayment that has to be done in this case. And now for this entire 6 years, if I want to draw a schedule, right? Okay, beginning principal. This is the way we draw the schedule. So beginning of the period principal, the interest for the period, the repayment amount. So principal contribution, and then we are talking about the outstanding principal at the end of the period. So these are the different elements that go, and of course I can take year. Okay, year 1, beginning of the year, the principal is your loan amount 97,600. The interest on it, based on this 97,600, we have a 7% interest for the first year. So this is the interest part. Then the repayment actually is 21,325. So the principal contribution in this case is whatever you have repaid minus the interest portion of it. So that is the principal portion, and the outstanding principal is from the base principal whatever is the payment that has already been done. So at the end of the first year, that is the principal that is outstanding, which will become the outstanding balance at the beginning of the second year. Now the interest is computed on this at the rate of 7%. So this is what is the value of interest. Then you will see that the repayment is still the same. The principal for the second year is nothing but out of the total payment, what is the contribution of the interest, the remaining is the contribution towards the principal. So by the end of the second year, that is the principal that is outstanding, which will again become the third year's principal. So third, fourth, fifth and sixth years. The same logic here I will drag up. Now the interest for each of these years, this I will multiply with 10%. So the interest in each of the years is actually increasing over the period, but the repayment is more and more of a level repayment. The principal contribution is the remaining part. So from here the outstanding principal will come out to be this. So what you see is by the end of the sixth year, the outstanding principal is almost zero. That is where the loan is getting completely paid off. So this kind of a table is what we are plotting as our amortization table, which will give me the breakup, sorry, the amortization table, which will give me the breakup between the principal and the interest values during the period. So let me take these numbers. So these are the outstanding principal and the interest amounts, outstanding principals at the end of each of the periods, and the interests that are corresponding to each of the periods, and how the loan is getting paid off over a 6-year period. So this is the kind of process which we follow for drawing a table. And now the next part that is asked is calculate what percentage of the loan has been repaid by the end of fourth year. End of the fourth year, the principal that is outstanding is only this much. So which means the repayment part out of this 97,600, only 37,011 is remaining, means 60,000 of the principal is already repaid, which is resulting in 60,000 divided by 97,000, almost 62%. 62.08% of the principal is repaid by the end of the fourth year in this case, right? So that is one way, especially if the interest rates are different. I cannot directly use a straightforward formula. I may have to adjust, and based on that I have to compute the interest rates, and based on that we have to find out how much is the interest for each of the period, principal for each of the period. So conceptual clarity in terms of this is required for solving these kind of practical problems, wherein for different years we have different rates of interest, but the installment of the payment is constant across the periods. All right. Now let's look at the various aspects associated with the repayment of the loan. See, the regular process, as we all know, we try to compute the EMI, which is an equal installment for every month, or equal periodic installments. It could be a monthly or annual or semi-annual or quarterly, whatever it is. So in that case, it is very easier to treat the payments as annuities, regular annuities, and probably if 1000 is the payment every period, so I can very well take 1000 AN as the present value of this annuity. 1000 AN, which is 1000 is the payment which I am doing every period for this much of period. So, or the other way, if I have taken a loan of 10,000 bucks, right? If I have taken a loan of 10,000 bucks and I have to pay it in n periods, I will simply say the 10,000 is equal to some x times an. An is nothing but the present value of 1 rupee which is being paid at the end of each of the period. So from here I will directly get what should be my equated installment amount. This AN can be obtained from the corresponding actuarial table, and this 10,000 is the total loan amount. It's very easier. But in some cases, because of the various customizations that can exist with respect to the loans, there could be various variants in the loan payment process. Every time it need not be an equated installment. Like in this case, you see here, a loan is repaid by annual installments in a 10-year period. Okay, I am trying to repay the loan in a 10-year period. Okay, I am looking at 1 to 10 years. Right, so this is the year number. The first installment is 64,200. The first installment is 64,200 and each subsequent installment is 1000 rupees greater than the previous installment. So this plus 1000. So every year my installment is actually growing up by 1000 and becoming 73,200 in the final year. This is again a scenario of an increasing annuity where my loan amount is not stable, my repayment amount is not stable or equal across the entire period. Rather, it is increasing arithmetically by 1000 bucks. Okay. So now the question is, how do I calculate the amount of the original loan, assuming that the interest rate is 12%? If it is a spreadsheet, it can easily come out with, I can find out the NPV, I can find out the overall PV of all these cash flows using a spreadsheet, assuming 12% is the interest rate and these are the cash flows. I can say that the loan amount is 382,998. 382,998 rupees is the typical loan amount in this process. If at all at the 12% interest rate, you are paying 64,200 every month and the installment is going up at the rate of 1000 every year. But if at all I have to do the same process manually, how will I do that? Okay, so this is in the form like this: 64,200 plus 65,200 plus 66,200 and so on. Now all I will do is I will make it as 63,200 plus 1000. Similarly, 63,200 plus 2000 plus 63,200 plus 3000. Now in this process, it is becoming 63,200 plus 63,200, I can add up 10 times, plus 1000 plus 2000 plus 3000 up to, it goes up to 10,000. So from here, how do I write this? This is nothing but 63,200. If I want the present value of all these things, 63,200, probably there is a V for all this, V squared, V power 10. So this becomes V plus V squared plus V power 10. So this becomes A10 at the rate of 12%. And this becomes, this is becoming, okay, this is V squared, V cube. Now this, if I take out 1000, it is becoming V plus 2V squared plus 3V cube plus 10V power 10, which is an expansion for IA10 again at 12%. So probably when I compute these two things, the values can very well be obtained from our actuarial tables. So all I could have done to obtain the same number is, okay, A10. I'll try to find out first A10, which from the actuarial tables, assuming a 12% interest rate, A10 works out to 5.6502. Okay, this is the value of A10. And the same, if I want IA10, again for this 10-year period itself, okay, let me write this as IA10, because capital A denotes a lump sum payment. So here I am looking at annuity, so I am denoting it as IA10. Again for 12% interest, the IA10 is working out to 25.9043. So based on these two things, I should be able to compute 63,200 into A10 and 1000 into IA10. So overall, it is coming out as this multiplied by this plus this multiplied by this. So both of them should work out, yes, 382,996. Small rounding off issues. So when I am computing it even through my spreadsheet, it is getting out that my overall outstanding loan is 382,998. Or even when I am using the actuarial table, something is getting rounded up to 382,996. So that is the way I can do it manually using the actuarial tables for the computation of my loan amount in case I have the installment payouts along with an arithmetic increment in the payment at the end of each of the periods. Now, the next thing I want is, what is the capital repayment in the 8th installment? Now let me first look at it system wise, and then we'll look at it manually. Capital repayment, right? 8th installment. So I want to know how much principal is outstanding, how much principal is outstanding at the end of 7th period, and how much principal is outstanding at the end of 8th period. How do I find out how much principal is outstanding at the end of, how much principal is outstanding at the end of 7th period? At 7th end means I just need to pay 8, 9, 10. So I'll take NPV with the same 12%. I will find out the remaining payments at the end of 8th period. These are the payments that are left. So the principal outstanding at the end of the 7th year is 173,000, and at the 8th year end it is working out to again the same NPV at 12%. I can look out for these are the two outstanding at the end of 8th. The present value is this much. So capital repayment during the period 8th year is out of this that was outstanding at the end of 7th. It ended up that this only was outstanding. So overall 50,412 has been repaid during the 8th year in this particular process. The other way, okay, if at all I want to look at the same scenario manually, right, if at all I want to look out for the same scenario manually, how do I look at it? Okay, at the end of 7th, at the end of the 7th installment, how much has been paid? Probably 63,200 plus whatever has been paid, right? So by the end of the 7th year, 63,200 plus 7,000. The installment before that, probably 70,200 must have got paid, right? After the 7th installment, 70,200 must have got paid, which means the next three installments are nothing but 71,200, 72,200 and 73,200. The other way I am writing it is 70,200 A3 at the rate of 12% because three more installments are left to be paid, and the remaining 1,000 I will take it as IA3 again at the rate of 12% because three more installments are left. So probably the same calculation. Okay, I'll finish this calculation. 70,200. So this is coming out as 70,200. I multiply it with A3. What is the A3 for 12%? A3 for 12% is 2.4018. 2.4018 plus 1000 times the IA3. IA3 again for 12% is 4.6226. So again the same numbers more or less, rounded off things. Similarly at the end of 8th installment, if I want, I could make this as 71,200 A2 at 12% plus 1000 IA2 at 12%, right? Because 72,200 and 73,200 are the two installments that are pending. So I could create this kind of a form. So this will work out to 71,200 multiplied by A2. In this case A2 is 1.6901 plus 1000 times IA2. IA2 is working out to 2.4872. So this is coming out as the installment at the end of 8th. This is coming out as the outstanding at the end of 8th period. I simply do a subtraction between the two. It tells me that this is the amount that has been repaid during the 8th installment. So I can do it through the system. So the difference is not that much. 50,412, 50,406. So it's only the rounding offs at a quite later point that will make a difference, depending on whether I'm using a system or whether I'm doing these things manually. So this is one way we can think of at any point in time. If I want to know what is the principal contribution of the payment, because every payment which we are doing in a typical loan repayment process includes an interest repayment as well as a principal repayment. So I really need to understand what is the principal repayment in this process. So for that, it's better to understand how much principal is outstanding at the end of period n minus 1 and how much is outstanding at the end of the period n. The difference between the two is what is the payment that has been done towards the principal repayment in that particular year. So how do I find out? Probably if the same question, if I wanted to know what is the interest element, let's say instead of fifth installment, just to extend the same problem, if I talk about what is the interest element in the eighth installment, okay, in the eighth installment, how much is the amount that needs to be paid? 63,200 plus 8,000. So in the eighth installment, 71,200 needs to be paid. So the interest portion is nothing but the total payment that is happening in the eighth installment is 71,200 minus the capital repayment, whatever has happened during the year. So 20,787 will become the interest part. The other way I can find out the interest is whatever is the principal that is outstanding at the end of the seventh year, you multiply it by the interest rate, which is the 12%. Even this should give you the same number, which is the interest that is outstanding for that particular period. So either of the ways, either you take the total payment amount for that particular period and subtract the capital repayment part. But of course, if I am not required to look at the capital repayment, all I need to do is find the interest, find the capital that is outstanding, find the principal that is outstanding at the end of n minus 1 period, and on that capital apply your interest rate and say that that is the interest repayment during that particular period. So there are various ways of trying to understand the total interest element part as well as the principal part. Now, the other scenario which I can look at in this loan repayment is the total interest that is paid during the whole 10 years. So during the whole 10 years, if I want to know the total interest that is paid, I can take, okay, what is the total installments that are paid, total installments minus the total principal. Total principal is nothing but the total loan amount. The difference between the two is what is my total interest paid. So how do I find out the total principal? This is the total loan amount which we have already computed. The total loan amount is this much, 382,998. Now what are the total installments in this case? I can add up all the amounts. Total installments, they are simply getting added up as the summation of all these things. So 687,000 is the total installment. The total principal amount is this. So from here I can find out the total interest that is paid, which is nothing but the total installment minus the total principal amount, which is working out to 304,000. 304,000 is the total interest that has been paid during this particular entire 10-year period. See, otherwise also probably this addition is not a difficult thing, right? 63,200 plus, so this has been added 10 times. So this gives me 632,000. And on the other side I have 1000 plus 2000 plus so on. So this is an arithmetic progression with 10 terms. The sum of 10 terms of the arithmetic progression, n by 2 into 2a, the first term twice, plus n minus 1, 10 minus 1, 9, into d, the common difference, 1000. So overall this is working out to 10 by 2 into 2000 plus 9000, 11,000. So it is already coming out to some 55,000. 55,000 plus 632,000, overall giving me 687,000. This is the total installment that I have paid out. Out of that I remove the total principal payment during this period to arrive at the computation of the total interest that is to be paid during this particular period. So we have to be more and more comfortable with the various variations that could exist as far as the loan repayment is concerned. In always all scenarios, it may not be the case that the equal installments will be paid or received. There may be a wide amount of variations in terms of the installments that are paid or received. So in this case, the example that we have looked at is where the installments are increasing in an arithmetic manner with each of the installment by some constant amount. But there could be many other variants also, but in all of them there should be a comfort level in terms of computing the EMIs, the installment, or probably computing the loan amounts, or whatever is the balance that is outstanding, what is the interest for this period. All these kind of things should become more and more comfortable. So a great clarity in terms of understanding of these concepts will definitely help in terms of solving these kind of numericals either through a spreadsheet or through a manual mechanism also quite comfortably. Alright. This is one of the very interesting aspects relating to loan repayment, where a loan gets revised somewhere down the lane. Somewhere after a few years, the loan gets revised. Means, see what happens generally. This is a very true real world scenario. Let's say you have taken a housing loan for a 20-year period. What could, and probably at somewhere around 10%. Over the period, we are seeing that your interest rates have dropped significantly, let's say to 8% or 7%. There is a chance for you to close this existing loan and reopen a fresh loan. Even the banks will come forward for doing such kind of arrangement. And even when you close down also, there will be some kind of pre-closure kind of fee, but probably the benefit that you are going to get on the reduced interest rates over the remainder period of the loan would be far higher than whatever is the extra fee you are getting charged during this at the time of foreclosure of the loan. So just trying to understand that scenario, whether in what kind of cases that would be beneficial. So probably we'll look at a simple example to understand that particular flow. You see here, 5 years ago, a borrower took a home loan for 600,000 from a bank at a rate of interest of 10% per annum effective. So the I in that case was 10%. He has taken it for a 15-year period. The loan is taken for a 15-year period with some X being the level installment on a monthly basis. So the typical equation would have been the present value 600,000 is equal to X, whatever is the amount that needs to be paid, at the rate of X is per month, right? Monthly installment is X, so probably I'll multiply it by 12 to get the annual installment, but that is paid over a 15-year period in arrears, but on a monthly basis. So typically the equation of value works out to be this. So from here we can directly find out X as 600,000 divided by 12 into A15 on a monthly kind of a payment basis. So obviously this simplification comes out to 50,000 divided by A15 on a 12 basis. Okay, so this I can take at an interest rate of 10%. So A15 12 comes out as I by I12 A15, and A15 I can get from my tables, actuarial tables. So probably yes, let me get started. I is 10%. So I can find out I12 now, which is nothing but 12 times 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. Alright. So my I12, which is the nominal rate per annum convertible on a monthly basis, is going to be 9.57%, and I want A15 now. The A15 for 10% interest I can get from the actuarial tables quite comfortably. The A15 works out to 7.6061. 7.6061. So I can very well find out A15 at the rate on a monthly basis is nothing but A15 regular into I by I12. I by I12 gives me that this is my A15 for 12. So based on this I will get my X, which is my monthly installment on this loan. I will get it as 50,000 divided by this. So almost working out to 6,290 rupees. So in the regular case, I should pay a monthly installment EMI of 6,290 rupees 33 paisa. Right? Now see the story. The rates of interest on the home loan have fallen during the past 5 years. Right? In order to retain the customer, the banks makes an offer to the borrower to take the new loan equal to the outstanding loan at the end of year 5. So I need to know what is the loan outstanding. At the end of 5 years. Right, which means every month actually I have been paying this much. So some portion of it is going towards the principal repayment, some portion towards the interest repayment. So how much of principal might have already got paid off? So which will tell me how much of principal balance is still left. So at the end of 5 years, I want to find out how much is still left. So how do I find out how much is still left at the end of 5 years? I can take it as the present value of the remaining 10 more years payments. Now that I know that I am paying 6290.33 and this I have to pay for 10 more years on a monthly basis. 6290.33 is on a monthly basis. So I multiply this by 12 and I say that this is what I have to pay over 10 more years. So whatever happens to be the present value of this, it is the amount of loan that is outstanding at the end of 5th year. Okay, loan outstanding at 5th year. So I can look at the loan that is outstanding at the end of the 5th year by getting this as 12 times 6290.33. This is the annual payment, and 812 for 10. Oh, this is I need to get 810 because I by I12 I do have it, but we don't have 810. So probably let me consider 810 also now at the rate of 10% itself. I'll try to compute what is 810 because 10 more periods loan I am still to pay. 6.1446. 6.1446. So based on this I can find out the loan outstanding at the end of 10 years. 12 times 6290 times 810 into I by I12. 810 is this one into I divided by I12. So overall it is saying that the loan that is still outstanding out of that 600,000, 484,711 is still outstanding. So now on this we are talking about a revised loan at the rate of 8% per annum. So we are talking about new interest at the rate of 8% per annum. The bank charges a processing fee equal to 4% of the original loan. Okay, the processing fee is 4% of the original loan is 600,000. So almost 24,000 is being charged as a processing fee. The first loan is repaid and the new loan is repayable over the remaining 10-year period by monthly installment. So the new monthly installment is based on this loan, right? The new monthly installment is based on this loan. So that 484,711, that will be equal to 12 times x multiplied by 810 on a monthly basis at the rate of 8% now. So based on this I will get my x as 484,711 divided by 12 into 810 at the on a monthly payment basis. But this is at the rate of 8% now. So I need to get the new 810 at 8%. So at 8%, my 810 value is 6.7101. 7101. So from here I can compute my new monthly installment 484,711, which is this one, divided by 12 times U810 on a monthly compounding basis. But this time I need I at the rate of 8%, right? So the new I is 8%. So from here I'll get new I12 as 12 times 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. So this will give me the new I12 Now from here I should be able to find out the new monthly installment. So this number divided by 12 into A10. So this is my new A10. Right, 12 into A10 into I by I12. So obviously this number is getting worked out at the new monthly installment now should be lesser. Let me see, something has gone wrong. Loan outstanding is this much. Then the new I is 8%, right? The new I is 8. New I12 is this much. A10 12 times D8. Oh, A10 here I have to take not this D8. The A10 that needs to be considered is this number at the rate of 8%. So obviously yes. Now the new monthly installment is coming out to 5809. Means monthly saving, if you see, every month there is a saving of this minus this. So there is a 480 that is getting saved every month. So probably I can find out the present value of the total savings. So over the whole 10-year period, I am getting a saving of 480.72. So again, I can talk about 480.72 into 12, 810 at the rate of 12 and at 8% interest rate. So this is what is the present value of the total saving. So which I can talk about as this times 12 times A10 times I divided by I12. So my total present value of the savings is this much. But of course, I am paying a processing fee of this much out of that. So the overall profit to the borrower. The profit to the borrower in this case goes as this number minus whatever is the processing fee that is being paid. So 16,000 typically goes in as the profit in this entire transaction, though there is a 4% on the original loan that is being paid as the processing fee. The interest that is reduced is reducing my overall EMI, giving me a savings of almost 480 rupees per month, and overall present value of the total savings being around 40,107 over the entire period. So a fee of 24,000 there would still give me a profit of 16,000 on the closure of the existing loan and the reopening of the fresh loan. Alright. So that is how typically a loan revision needs to be looked at and evaluated. So if at all I have to take a decision whether this is the right time for me to close down the existing loan and take a fresh loan, or use a fresh loan to pay off the existing loan. If I have to really evaluate between those various alternatives that are available, this is the way we really work forward. Is there any kind of a profit? Because every foreclosure of the loan will incur a processing fee. So even after the payment of the processing fee, is there any kind of profitability that is left in the process? All these things have to be very critically evaluated before going for taking a decision regarding the foreclosure of the loan. Alright, so this is a kind of a typical real world example which we encounter with respect to the repayment of the loans and a foreclosure of the loan somewhere after a few years when the interest rates have fallen, which will tempt the borrower to go for a new mode of borrowing by closing the existing one. Right? Now let's look at the difference between the flat interest rate and the annual percentage rate of return. Right? When we are looking at any kind of a loan, there is one way we look at the flat interest rate, which is nothing but out of the total loan which we have taken and the total payments that we have made in the form of interest. We will see what is the interest component of the total payment, the interest component of the total payment, and based on that we find out what is the flat annual rate of interest. So in this example, if we see, there was a borrowing of 120,000, whereas the repayment is per month 3,130, which means per year there is 3,130 times 12, right? Okay, the loan amount is 120,000. Monthly repayment is working out to 3,130. So from here I can find out what is the yearly repayment. Annual repayment is nothing but monthly repayment multiplied by 12. The loan period is for 5 years. So total repayment amount comes out to 37,560 multiplied by 5, which comes out to 187,000 being the total repayment, out of which 120,000 is the principal. So the remaining is what is constituting the interest. So 187,800 minus 120,000. So 67,800 is the interest portion of this loan. Okay. Interest portion is 67,800. Now for computing the flat interest rate, all we do is, because this is the interest, we will simply take it as PNR. The flat simple interest mechanism is what we will apply. So P, the principal is 120,000, N, the number of periods 5, and R is the rate of interest per period. So the flat rate of interest in this case comes to 67,800 divided by 120,000 into 5. So the flat interest rate for this numerical will come out as 167,800 divided by 120,000 into 5. So the flat rate of interest for this numerical is working out to somewhere around 11.3%. That is the interest rate. Now, when I have to compute the annual percentage rate, APR, it takes into account compounding and all the other factors, whereas the flat interest rate does not consider the compounding of the compounded interest rate for the periods. It doesn't consider any of those things. So generally, on an approximate basis also, it is understood that APR will be in a range of twice that of the flat interest, just for an approximation purpose. So we can try out the different APRs, but when I am going with the APR, right? So it can very well be taken as 120,000, which is the present value, because this is a level annuity of 3,130 per month, right? 3,130 per month is the level payment. So this into 12 is the annual payment. So 3130 into 12 is the annual payment, and I can take it as A5. 3130 into 8 of 12 into A5 at the rate of on a monthly basis. So probably I can compute 3130 into 12, and probably I can directly find A5, and because I need on a monthly kind of compounding, I multiply this by I by I power 12. So this is what should be equivalent to 120,000, because A5 on a monthly compounded or on a monthly convertible basis, I could get it as normal A5 multiplied by I by I12. And we know I12, see, as per the compounding effective annual rate principle, 1 plus I is same as 1 plus I12 by 12 to the power 12. So from here I can get I12 as 12 multiplied by 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. So this will be my I12. So I'll find out my I'll find out my I12. Based on whatever I am taking, I'll get an approximate I12. A5 I can get from the actuarial tables, or probably I can take A5 because I don't know I here. I can take A5 as nothing but V1 plus V plus V2 V squared plus V power 5. So the geometric progression gives me first term into 1 minus r power n divided by 1 minus r. So v into 1 minus v power 5 divided by 1 minus v. That is what is going to come up. So let me take one interest rate, right? I can start with some interest rate, probably let me start with the double of it, 22.6% being the interest rate, right? I could take twice that of the flat rate as a base to start with. Then I'll get my V as 1 by 1 plus I, right? This is what is my V. Then I can take as I assume this I to be 22.6, I should get I12 also. I12 is how much? 12 times 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12, right, minus 1. So I12 is somewhere around 20.54%, right, at 20.55%. This is I12. Now I should get A5. So how do I get my A5 here? A5. How do I get A5? V into 1 minus V power 5 divided by 1 minus V. Okay, we'll do the same. V into 1 minus V power 5 divided by 1 minus V. This is A5. So 2.82 comes out to be my A5. So from here I will get the right hand side, which is 3130 multiplied by 12 multiplied by A5 multiplied by I by I12. I by I12. So here comes the problem. This right hand side is 116 whereas the left hand side is 120. So probably I can choose my I now instead of 22.6%. I can choose my I probably if I make it 22. Yes, this is coming out to 118. It should match 120. When I take 21, yeah, it has slightly crossed it. So 21.1, still lesser. So I could very well play around with that number and finally say that my annual periodic rate, annual percentage rate in this particular process is around 21.1%. Probably I can use the goal seek what if analysis tool of spreadsheet, but if I'm doing it manually, I have to play around on a trial and error basis. But otherwise, when I'm using a tool like spreadsheet, I can set that particular value to be exactly equal to 120,000 and I would go around changing this. So which should give me that yes, this is around 21.05% where the present value on the right hand side is equal to the present value on the left hand side. So that is what will give me that the annual periodic rate in this transaction is 21.05%, whereas the flat interest rate considered on a non-compounded kind of a basis is only 11.3%. And on a general note, what we see as a relationship is the annual percentage rate of return is approximately equal to twice that of the flat interest rate, which we can take as a base and then start our other calculation process. All right. Let's try to look at another numerical relating to flat rate versus annual percentage rate. Right, it is more or less similar to our earlier one where there was a loan taken, some repayment made over a particular period, but slightly in its simplistic form. Now if I am seeing a housewife buys a refrigerator at 15,000 from a dealer under installment scheme to be repaid in 36 equal monthly installments. The amount of each monthly installment is 550. So basically the principal amount or the loan amount in this case is 15,000, but total repayment done, the repayment done is 550 times 36, which is more than the principal amount itself. So if I am looking at it in this case, the principal amount is 15,000. The total repayment that is done is 550 per installment into 36 installments. So working out to 19,800. So from here I can find out the interest part of the installment, which is 19,800 minus 15,000. So 4,800 becomes the interest. So the interest that is paid is 4,800. And if I have to find out the flat rate, it has to go with a simple interest rate, simple interest kind of a formula. The interest equal to PNR, the normal formula which we use for simple interest. So P is principal 15,000, N is number of years, which is 36 years, 3 years, 36 months, and from here I should find out the R. 4,800 is equal to 15,000 into 3 into R. From here I'll get my R as 4800 divided by 3 into 15,000. So that is what will work out as the annual interest rate R in this case, which is 4800 divided by 15,000 into 3. So somewhere around 11% or 10.67% forms the flat rate of interest. Whereas when we talk about the annual percentage rate, to start with, it would be approximately in the range of twice that of the flat rate. Now that the flat rate is 10.67, probably the twice of it, which will take it to probably 21.5, approximately around 21.5, but on the lower side, around 21 or 20 would be the approximate annual percentage rate of return. But how do I simply calculate it? I can simply take it as 15,000 is equal to 36 monthly installments, and so I can take 550 per installment, so 550 into 12. So this is the amount that is paid per year, and from here I can take the annuity A3 but on a monthly basis. So the A3, the annuity value for 3 periods, at that is what I have to find out as what is that interest rate. So from here it is quite evident for me that it is A312 is equal to 15,000 divided by 550 into 12. So probably I can say from here A3 and on a monthly basis is working out to 15,000 divided by 550 into 12. So this is what is the value of A3 on a on a monthly payment kind of a basis. But this at the same time we know this is nothing but A3 into I by I12. A3 into I by I12 is equal to this value. And we also know A3 is nothing but V plus V squared plus V cube, that is A3. So applying this formula, we can say geometric progression, first term into 1 minus R power n V cube divided by 1 minus V. So overall, once I know one I interest rate, all others can be found out, because this is nothing but 1 so V is completely dependent on I, and once I know the I can find out I12, all these things. So probably what we'll do is we'll make some assumption relating to I, let's say starting with that 20%. Once I know that my I is 20%, now I can compute my V, which is 1 divided by 1 plus I, that is what is my V, and from here I also require I12. We know that I12 can be computed as, just again a quick recap, 1 plus I should be equal to 1 plus I12 by 12 to the power 12. So from here I can compute my I12 as 12 into 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. So this I can get my I12 as 12 into 1 plus I to the power 1 by 12 minus 1. So this entire thing I can put in a bracket. So which will tell me that my I12 is somewhere around 18.37%. So from here I should be able to find out the A3 through the calculation, right? I should be able to find out A3 through calculation, which works out as V into 1 minus V cube, alright, divided by 1 minus V divided by 1 minus V, and this multiplied by I and divide by I12. So all these things put together, this A3 is coming out to 2.29, whereas I should get 2.27. So making it 19%, this is increasing. So make it 21%, it is 2.26. So we have to do an interpolation out there. So instead of 21, probably I can try out 20.5, which is matching out to some extent. But getting out the exact value, at least through a system base, I can use the help of goal-seek, where I can set this particular value exactly equivalent to 2.272727 by changing this particular interest rate cell, which has given me that this is around 20.77%. If I am applying the interest rate, this is working out to around 20.77%, where to a large extent this is replicating this. So the annual percentage rate in this example has come out to 20.77%, whereas the flat rate of interest is 10.67. So probably just as a quick start off, we can take the double of it, slightly lesser than the double, and then start checking out with the various trial and error methods to see where there is a match between the actual AN that is getting determined and our particular formula. That's the only way to solve these kind of numericals. But if you are working with a spreadsheet kind of a tool, the goal seek as a tool can really help you out in terms of achieving the same, right?